What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's only been about 30-35 minutes that I decided that I wanted to come in the garage and work on the fuel cell to get that car up and going again. Also, we're going to be working this car as well too. Now, if you guys have seen the last video of me talking about the fuel cell for the all-wheel drive CRX, I talked about putting the full-blown dual hanger kit into the tank, but I decided that I'm going to order a new tank instead and do it on that. I ended up just grounding out this tank, welding it shut, left water in the tank overnight, and it didn't leak, so I decided to toss it back in the car, throw some E85, warm this car up, cycle the fluids, and everything seems to be pretty good. One of these days I'll move this car over there so I could wash it and then put a car cover over it back over here and keep it clean for when I'm ready to drive it again. I tried pressing on the clutch with the twin disc and the clutch cable to the twin disc. It's still really rough on my leg. It's really hard to press the pedal down, so the car is just going to sit here until my ankle heal up a little bit more. Today I want to work on the FlipRX CRX. I want to convert it to OBD1, a simple task for today. I always talk about making short videos which end up being 20 minutes long. I don't know why, but I'm just going to get right to it, guys. I'm going to gather some of my things and figure out how I'm going to go about converting a distributor that was sent over to run in this car as OBD1. This distributor right here is a VTEC distributor sent in from Modesto, and this is for the Flip CRX, and this is actually OBD2 plugged, and another subscriber sent this a couple months ago. A few of these jumpers, I think they're like Password JDM, I could be wrong, but pretty quality. And I noticed that these plugs are opposite. So if you look at this OBD2 plug, it is a male connection, while this one is a female connection. So what I'm going to need for this distributor, I am going to need the male end side, which is this, right? And then the other end is OBD1. I don't have any extra OBD1 plug harness side to convert that over to OBD1, so we don't use a ton of jumper harness. So because I have multiple of these jumpers and I don't think I'm going to use them anytime soon, I think I'm going to rob these plugs and hardwire these into the car itself, so that way it'll plug up to the OBD1 side and then connect it to the OBD2 to the distributor to make this work in the car. Now, if you guys don't remember, we kept the car OBD0 and we wanted to make sure everything worked OBD0 first before going to OBD1. So that way, if we go OBD1 and something happens along the way, it's something I did in between. You can see the OBD0 are the white plugs, and obviously they won't work with the jumper. And typically I would run the, you know, OBD0 to whatever distributor I'm running. But because I don't have any extra plugs and stuff to make jumpers myself from OBD0 to, in this case, OBD2, I'm gonna have to modify this to OBD1, convert it OBD1 to OBD2. So before I even get to removing all of this, I'm gonna go ahead and look up some diagrams and see how I'm gonna go about switching these plugs out. I noticed the cap wasn't sitting all the way down, so I took it off just to inspect it real quick. It looks like somebody was trying to take it off before, but didn't take it off. And the bolt is super crooked. You can't really see it here, but it's crooked. I also noticed that the spring for the coil to the cap isn't here, so it's very important to make sure that spring is there. But lucky for me, a lot of us went coil pack, so a lot of the guts from the other distributors are in here, a lot of coils and stuff, and you can see there's a spring right here. Go ahead and just transfer that over, seat it up really nice and tight, and do got a couple plugs in here, but not the side that I need. So I need this distributor because of the wiring color, and this one, a lot of them match, but a lot of them are different. Like the red right here obviously doesn't exist on the harness, or is that a red wire? No, that's not, it's just red tape. But there are some colors that aren't on the OBD0, so I just want to plug it up to the distributor to make sure that when I'm color matching this, they are all headed in the right direction to the opposite end. So obviously all these colors right here match the OBD0 plugs, which are mostly the same except OBD1 and OBD2. The big white wire that's on the OBD0 side, this one right here, the big white wire is typically distinguished by the wire being by itself. There are two white wires. There's a small one right here, right? And then there's a big one here. It's a little bit thicker, and the thicker one is always ran by itself, while the other white is bundled up with all of the other ones, like so. So this giant white wire is typically the yellow green, right? So I'm just trying to match all the color from this end through the harness to splice it into here, hardwired in here, and get that all mated up. So I'm over here trying to unloom the harness, right? There's just no room for my big ass hands. So I'm just gonna take off the distributor to open up some space and make my life easier, because sometimes I don't take the easy route. Sometimes I just make my life more complicated. OBD0 B16. That's a gem right there. All right, all the space. So a little bit more visual here for the single white wire. You can see it's by itself, and then the rest of it are bunched up in a shielded loom right next to it. You see? What I should do is depin one and see if these terminals are the same. Just maybe. No, they are actually identical. Huh. I do notice that the grommet on the OBD0 terminal is a lot bigger, more harder than the aftermarket one. So it's not actually going into the plug. So I'm gonna have to modify that. Okay, take 2. And it works. Clipped in. You can see it right there in the corner. And it doesn't come out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just match all these wires right here, these colors on the OEM, to this right here. The other plug right here, the 2 wire, is pretty straightforward. It's just a black yellow and a blue right there. Pretty simple. Black, yellow, and blue. Yarramin for show. Okay, well, one at a time. So we just got all of the wiring buttoned up. This is the last clip right there. And out here, I don't know where you guys are from, but we start getting dark at like 8:45, 9 o'clock. We still got some light out, but not much. I don't even know what time it is. It's 8:45. 8:45. And there's a bunch of homeless people yelling at each other over there across the creek. I don't know about what, but they're pretty loud. Fire department just left as well too. They closed at the gate. I'm not sure if there was a fire here or something. I came out and they were already out here. Fortunate for me, I didn't remember if the OBD0, OBD1, or OBD2 terminals were the same, but lucky I caught it and they actually just pinned in. Now the thing is, inside this clip there is typically a white cover that, you know, that pins the tabs down to hold the terminal into place. It's not in here, and I had to make sure that once I clipped this in, it wasn't pushing any of these wires out, although they are clipped in. But once they're clipped in, those little tabs should hold the terminal into place. The terminal has these little like holes on the back that the little plastic tabs close onto. I don't know if you guys can see it in here. There's little tabs in there that hold the terminal into place, but because we don't have the white plug that's in here, I just got to make sure that they are nice and snug, which they are. And this right here, I finished the plug as well too. These actually clip into the OBD1 clip from the OBD0. These are OBD0, these are OBD1, so they clipped in, and no splicing for me today. That's awesome. But I did rip this wire. I had to repair it. You can see it right there. And You are probably wondering why I didn't just go OBD2 on the engine harness. Reason for that is because I intended for this car to be completely OBD1, but you guys were generous enough to send me an OBD2 VTEC distributor, so I'm going to make use of that. And somebody else sent me these jumper harnesses, so everything just kind of fell into place anyways. And the reason why I'm using the jumper harness and converting the harness itself to OBD1 is to give you options. If this distributor took a crap, whoever bought this car, you can find another OBD2 distributor, keep the jumper on, and run with an OBD2 distributor. Or if you find an OBD1 because OBD2 isn't available, you can always just remove the jumper harness and just plug it directly to the harness and run an OBD1 VTEC distributor. Now, if you can't find a VTEC distributor in general, you can use an LS distributor as well, OBD1, OBD2. Just cut one of the legs off, which is interfering with the VTEC solenoid. Just cut that leg off and you can bolt one on the top. It'll still work as long as you time it in, and you should be good then. But because we have an OBD2, we're utilizing that, utilizing the plug, keeping it OBD1 for option. And you cannot run OBD0 with OBD1 or OBD2. You can run OBD1, OBD2 with OBD1, OBD2, but not OBD0. Hopefully that's not confusing. But we are done here. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt the distributor up. Spark plug firing order. Looking at it from the front here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. From the crank, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when you're converting your EF or DA to OBD1, you don't have to convert your injectors. The injectors can stay OBD1, OBD2, OBD0 when you convert it to OBD1, and they will work perfectly fine. But remember that if you're running OBD0 injectors, you have to run the resistor box. Aside from that, to convert to OBD1, you just need the distributor, convert your harness to accept the new distributor, and now we're going to work into the car. Because you're going to need an OBD1 ECU, which I need to find. It's not this one. Which one is this? This is the fried one. What is this? Alright, this is my P72. The only thing about the stock P72 is it's going to throw check engine lights for all the sensors we don't have. But it will work. P72 OBD1. I think I cut myself off earlier. So in part of going OBD1, and the reason why we're going OBD1 is because OBD1 has ECUs like P06, P28, even the P75, P72s and stuff like that to chip and make it a tunable ECU. I don't think I've ever seen or heard of anybody chipping an OBD2 like ECU to tune, like a Type R or a B16 or something like that. So we're going to be using an OBD1 ECU in this car, a chip ECU, but right now we're going to be using a Virgin P72 GSR just to run the engine. And like I said, in parts of going OBD1, the chassis is obviously OBD0. To run an OBD1 ECU, you need an OBD1 jumper. This right here will adapt the, which side is it? It'll adapt the OBD0 plugs, right, to OBD1. So like I said, you need an OBD0 to OBD1 jumper conversion for the ECU. This converts the OBD0 plug, which is this one and these two, and it pins it correctly to the OBD1 input output for the ECU. So we're going to plug this in. Now again, we're going to be throwing some check engine lights because of some sensors that we don't have. If you're going like a full stock mission style OBD1 conversion, you need the OBD1 O2 sensor, the NOx sensor, and all the other stuff that the stock ECU looked for. But because we're not needing any of those, the only wire we are worried about is the VTEC solenoid, which is, where you at, bud? Where are you at? Oh, it's right here. Duh. This goes into the VTEC solenoid. That's the only wire we're needing. Everything else is going to be eliminated off the ECU when we go tune. But pretty much that's all it is for the inside of the car. Now we just need to put a battery in here, plug it up, and see if the car turns on. And if it does, we'll time the distributor. One thing I need to check off the list for the Flip RX is battery and relocation. I need to buy a new battery because I've been cycling this between the all-wheel drive car and the Flip RX. And with the new battery, hopefully I can find a small one. I'm trying to put it in the bumper just so it's not all the way in the trunk, and it'll be the only thing that's in the trunk. All right, I hear the fuel pump. Obviously we got a couple check engine lights, right? And it just died. No worries, turn it on again. I don't think this car has gas though. RPM, buddy. Yeah, I don't think this car has gas, but check the check engine light real quick. I don't know what button it is. Is it this one? Yep. It's check engine light right here. Shift light. 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 41. It's O2 sensor. I didn't catch that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 41. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Code 9. Code 9 is distributor. What in the world? So code 9, CYP cylinder sensor, and code 41, primary oxygen sensor, which we don't have. So code 9. You're yelling it again. Code 9 could be a couple of different things. It could be in the wiring itself, like because we pin and repinned. It could be the sensor in the distributor itself, and this could be a bad distributor typically. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and trace everything and double check all my wiring colors, because like I said, some of these wires are faded, so it's kind of hard to tell what they are. Okay, upon discovery, all the wirings were actually correct, and I even made sure from this car that it's correct, right? But what I did notice is this wire is the only one that does not clip in. Check this out. You see that? So I guess when I pushed it in and thought I had it in place, once I settled the harness down, it actually comes out. So what I did was I shoved it all the way in, and I actually had it zip tied, but I shoved it all the way in, and I went to go turn on the car a second ago. It turned on, and the check engine light, it's not there anymore. So it's gonna cycle through. So that's 10, 1, that's 41. And if the code 9 was still there, it would start on code 9 now. 20, 30, 40, 1, 41. So the code 9 is gone due to just that wire being loose, but 100% we don't have any gas. So I just turned off the ignition, and the fuel line is right here. Okay, turn on the ignition. No gas. I don't feel anything going through it. I for sure hear the fuel pump. fuel pump's on, turns on, and it dies. We don't have any gas. So I shoved that wire in to the plug and turned the car on. It idled for about 5 seconds and then it died. And then I checked the fuel. The fuel is not getting through the hard line, but the pump's working. So I know we're out of fuel. We also know that the check engine light is not there anymore other than code 41 for oxygen sensor. So I'm going to call this a success. The distributor's working well. The jumper harness is definitely working as well. The ECU, the jumper ECU, and the car turned on. But I can't get it on long enough to time the engine, so I'm gonna have to do that another day. But the car is officially converted to OBD1, guys. I might even throw some old E85 in there because I have it sitting right here. That's 1 gallon of E85. You know what, I'm gonna do it just to burn it off. Kind of feel it. Well, really light. All right, guys, so I am definitely regretting putting that old gas in the car. So the car turns on every time now, just idles for about 5 seconds and then it dies. The gas was from last year. The gas actually came out of this car when I swapped the Type R into it so I could drive this car on 91 pump, and I had like 15 gallons of it. I just threw in another gallon and it doesn't even smell like E85. It does, but it really doesn't because I think it just sat for too long. Regardless, I'm pulling the tank out anyways to verify what pump we have in the car and tighten up the saddle a little bit more because it's just really loose down there. So whatever nasty old gas I just threw in, I'm gonna have to take it back out. But I just wanted to try to get this car to idle so we can do the timing, but unfortunately we can't do that. So I think that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this video. Before all of the check engine lights and stuff, the car did idle for a cool minute before it died. We know the conversion works. There's not much that goes into the car as far as converting it to OBD1. I know a lot of people don't like the EFNDAs because they're OBD0, but it's really not that hard to convert it over. Now, if you want to eliminate having to do all of the stuff that I just did in this video, you can always buy an aftermarket tucked harness or something like I have in that car where everything is already OBD1 from whoever it is that you're buying from, CJSWIRING. If you are using a stock harness like I am, you can do this conversion or buy the jumpers to convert your harness from whatever it was, like say if it's OBD0 to an OBD2 distributor or OBD1 distributor, you buy the plugs accordingly. But because I'm a DIY guy and I have a bunch of stuff lying around, I decided to do it myself, and messing up the pin is kinda, it comes with it because you don't know how old the plug is or how brittle it is to remove those terminals, and sometimes they break. So I had that one wire I got to repair. What I normally do is I just put hot glue in it to keep it in place, but we'll figure that out soon. I'm probably going to pump some gas, some 91 this time, and just make sure everything's good and dandy before we further make progress with the car. Now the only thing left now after converting the car to OBD1 is injectors. I'm still looking for injectors. I actually made 300 horsepower on 91 pump on 450 DSMs, and I'm debating on putting the DSMs in this car and making, you know, at least 300. But obviously with more injectors, I'd go E85 and make 350, or try to make 350. But the goal is to touch 300 plus. So if I don't find injectors probably in this next week or so, I might just throw the 450s in just to get this car moving and get it sold, because I actually got to move some cars. So it'd be great to get this car in a dyno and provide some content with that, guys. But I think that is going to be it for this video. Not much more to do with the car other than waiting for my brake pads to show up, because it's been about 2 months now. But aside from bleeding the brakes, alignment, and dyno, the car should be ready to rock and roll here very soon. Wasn't a ton of progress today, but always remember, progress is better than no progress. So if you guys enjoyed today's video a little bit, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for, I don't even know what's next, but if you guys want to stick around and see what we're up to next, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.